Hey, all you lovely people, welcome back to another episode of the DBD tier list. This is episode 4 of the shorts that we've been doing. I am your host, I guess. Well, there's really no host. Your hosts. I'm Arson, and over there, sitting across the table, about over 100 miles, is Phoenix. How you doing, man?
100 miles? I wish, man. I'd drive to see you. I'm doing all
Well
right.
over 100 miles.
Well over 100 miles. As you guys can tell, I have did a little CPR on a mic, and I'm able to get a little bit better. I'm using one of my old mics, and so yeah, we got that. We've decided we're gonna call this series, From the Ashes presents September Shorts. So yeah, we're gonna be adding these into the September Shorts, and depending on how many episodes we get, it'll be, I don't know, it'll be interesting. So, but
Really,
anyways,
really picking up the slack here. You're welcome, everybody. We're other members. We're doing this for you.
yeah, yeah, and I still have a couple that may do some shorts. I may have a couple surprise guests with one on one with me and them, or them and I, whatever you want to say. Um, uh, but
I'm not a
this.
nerd. I'm not gonna. I'm not gonna correct you.
Yeah. But what I'm saying is, these shorts for the DVD tier list are literally enough to get us through to where we will be back in September recording again. So it's pretty awesome. On 2 days that Arson had that he was able to fit this in. We're doing it. But to let you guys know, we are 15 killers in, and it could take another 3 episodes to get this done. I'm not sure yet. We'll see. But I would love to hear Arson let us know our tier count, where everybody sits so far.
Yeah, what was the last? All right, yeah, okay. So in S tier, we still have our two Spook Troop leaders,
I love that.
Unknown and Dredge, and then still at the top of a tip of the spear, still is Vecna, the Lich, and then following that is Wesker, Chucky, Meatball Head, and Ring Girl.
Ring girl.
I don't know. Look, I'm just flying off the seat of my pants here, right? I'm not
Mm-hmm.
gonna. I'm not gonna. I'm trying to think of creative names, but whatever.
Yeah.
And B tier, we got Pinhead Larry.
Needle face. I don't know.
Yeah,
That's the knockoff pinhead needle face.
uh, yeah, we got Mr. Pinhead at the top of B, followed by Knight, uh, random K-pop guy, and tragic crow lady. And in C tier, unfortunately, are the twos that should have been S tier, but are unfortunately in C tier. Nemi and Cat Dog Xeno. And in last, in D tier, we have Alone, but at least they have each other,
Mm-hmm.
the twins. And
The,
I don't know if my screen is smudged or it's glitching out, but it looks like there's someone else there. I can't quite tell, but as it stands, it seems like it's just the twins there.
yep. And well, it's she who how blah, she who shall not be named, and the Wonder Twins. Uh,
I
so
only see the twins. I don't know what you're talking about.
all right, well, there you go. Okay, so we've got our recap, and now next we are going to be talking about as fast as you know what, boy, the Blight. So, um, to kick things off, why don't you tell us what your feelings are about the Blight, your professional feelings,
Ah, yes. The what's that machine again? I can't believe I forgot the name of the machine. The ball drops and then you have the two twiddle things on the side and then you fling it back up and
I have no idea
you
what
know.
you're talking about.
Oh, come on. The pachinko, I don't know.
Oh, yeah. I got you. I can't right off the bat, tell
Yeah,
you.
Mr. Ping Pong Man.
Uh
I
huh.
guess that's the best I can get for now, but yeah, no, this guy's great. When he first came out, I tried him. I played him for a good while after
Mm,
he came out. I really liked his unpredictable playstyle. I didn't even know what I was doing when I was bouncing off walls, and I still got kills.
yeah.
So that really goes to show that he is one of the top killers in high rank. He is a character or a killer that a lot of good players gravitate towards because he has a lot of mobility,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of unpredictability, and a lot of his builds can be flexible. Um, as long as you know what you're doing.
He's
Again,
got
with
some
most killers,
nasty builds.
yeah, he has like a good blight will wipe out a good team a lot, and but being chased by him is very fun if you know how to counter him.
Mm-hmm.
He appeals to both sides of the spectrum, but of course there's always going to be those who really put a damper on things. But aside from that, he's an awesome killer. And the whole build up towards him being a killer, with the whole Halloween events and then
Yeah.
him kind of being in the background experimenting on killers. I was actually one of the few I was probably one of the few people out there that actually predicted what his name would be before he ever got announced.
Really?
I was like, "Oh yeah, no, this guy's going to be the Blight."
Oh my
And
gosh! I never knew that.
lo and behold, he came out and I was like, "What did I tell you?
Ah,
What did I tell you? Look at that. Look at that glorious freaking disturbing flower boy. Look at
gosh,
him in all his glory."
he dribbles so nasty, like, and it's just. So my thoughts about him are like, I like him. He is a really good killer to use, and he's a fun killer to face off against, especially ones that are more knowledgeable with him. Um, you're right though. You can face some really deadly ones if they know what they're doing, and some of those builds, man, oof. Not to rehash what he was just saying, but with the blight, you have got that super speed, and the only thing that's bad about the blight though, he can be countered super easy if you know what you're doing.
And he is pretty map dependent.
Yeah, and map dependent. What's funny is when Nemesis first came out in the PTB, we were playing. Well, was it the PTB or was it after the PTB? Well, anyways, it was
Mhm.
either or. We had RPD, and we got the blight on an RPD map, and absolutely wrecked him because you know how hard it is if there's doorways and such, like if you go to Leary's or anything like that. It's going to be tough for him because he's dependent. Now, granted, when he first started out, he didn't have as much mobility as he does now. They did give him the more mobility as they changed him a little bit, and I really think he is a high tier killer
I'll
because of.
never forget when he first came out, the Compound 21. I remember the
Mhm.
add-on, and
Oh
back
yeah.
when it wasn't nerfed,
Hmm.
and when he slammed into a wall, he just saw you, and there was nothing you could do about it.
Yeah. Whew, man, he was absolutely crazy to face. He still is. Like we said, if you get a right one, a right person playing him, he will absolutely wreck you. And there's always a lot of fun playing against a blight. I love making a blight player get so frustrated that they stop running to just chase you to hit you. it's it's it's
Oh
always
yeah,
fun, and you
it's
know what I'm
gotten
talking about.
serious. It's completely serious when he just stops ping ponging and just goes straight for you.
Yes, and it's so great. When I first saw him zip by me, the first time I ever seen him zip, um, it scared the living crap out of me. Not like jump scare or anything like that. It was just like, oh crap, what the heck is this guy? But yeah, I mean, yeah, on that, I feel like there's not much more to be said about the blight right now. You
I
know,
mean, aside from the cosmetics.
of course, the cosmetics and his. I'm not too big. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. If what your thoughts are on his Mori. The Mori is not. It's
It's
all
not
right.
bombastic. It's fine.
Yeah, it's all right.
I was
Um,
expecting something a little more fucked, but work with what you got.
yeah, yeah, a little swelling, but yeah, he does have a lot of cosmetics, interesting ones, and because of him, there are cosmetics for everybody that blighted outfits and stuff like that. So, you know, um, granted that some of that came before, I believe, because it was a precursor to him. But yeah, it was great. So where would you rank him? I feel like
I know,
you
I
already
know,
showed
I
your
know,
hand.
I know. I didn't hype him up as much as I should, but he is a very important killer. Um, Not only because of the whole, he was one of the first that actually had a build up in the realm. This guy is in the fog made. He isn't, you know, he did do some, I think he did some twisted stuff before he
Mm,
got roped into the fog. But I think aside from mostly every killer here, I think he actually is the only killer that has been made in the fog.
hmm.
I don't think there are any other killers here. Well, I mean, of course some of them were, murders and or
Hmm.
some of them got augmented and twisted by the entity once they entered the fog, but
Right.
Blight, or I think Talbot was his real name. He was originally a survivor, and he was looking through Vigo's notes, and then the whole Halloween event. I think that was a whole build up for like what 3 years, three
It
years of
was. Yeah.
Halloween events,
Yeah.
and he was one of the first killers that really introduced more lore into the game, and that was a pretty big thing. I mean, and then after that, as some time went on, they introduced the tomes and everything. And then
Hmm.
we finally got more lore for every killer, but it started with this guy, and he's really unique in that aspect that I really love a lot. He really expanded on the world, um, and the fact that he is a killer that was made in the realm instead of out of it,
Hmm.
and then just got augmented when he came in. It really gives him that extra spice. It also gives him even more points that he still actively hunts down other killers and injects them with serum. I don't know how the hell. I don't know how the hell he got his hands on Sadako, but you know what? I'm not questioning it.
Yeah. I'm gonna call this right now that if when they do release the DVD movie, I feel like that they should build up to him, have him as like a survivor or a character in the movie.
I would like him to have a huge role in the movie.
Yeah.
I think he has the potential to be a very tragic character
Hmm.
in the movie. I think
But
that would definitely work.
that's what I'm saying. Bring him out to be like the hero of the movie, or like one of the heroes, the big ones, and then lead it up. 'Cause like if you're doing like a Marvel thing, like where you're leading up different movies, which would be neat.
The Dead by Daylight cinematic universe.
Exactly.
Oh no, man! I think I'm fine with it just being a
The
one-off.
DBDCU, baby.
Oh no!
No,
Don't
but
start something you can't control.
hashtag DBDCU. I'm just saying. But no, I think it'd be kind of cool to have him as like uh a hero, and then all of a sudden, like maybe in credit scene, the entity gets a hold of him and does what they do, what Nia does.
He
But
he couldn't die a hero, so he lived long enough to become a blight.
exactly. So, but all right. So ultimately, where would you place him?
I would place him up in S.
I agree with that. I think he is good enough to be up there. However, man, I think he should split them. I think he should split the middle. You know
You
what I'm
think he's
saying?
above Dredge?
I think he's above Dredge.
I I can respect it.
Okay.
I can. He has a bit more going for him than Dredge, but that's
Hmm.
because he's had years of build up.
Yeah.
So I can see it.
I
That's
think the
fine.
unknown edges him out, but I
Oh
think
yeah, the unknown is better,
yeah,
but
yeah.
Talbot's got the lore
Hmm.
up on Dredge. So there we go. Middle
Yeah.
of S. I can
There you
nice
go.
and
Hey,
comfy.
That's hey, he's got a nice little support system.
A new member to the Spook Troop.
Spook troop and it fits. So
S,
all right.
S for Spook Troop.
All right, so next we have got one of my favorites when it comes to gaming, just games in general. And when they announced and brought out the Silent Hill chapter, I was so happy. Um, I really enjoy this killer as a whole, like the background and stuff like that. But this would be Pyramid Head, Lasagna Boy, or whatever you want to call him.
That's a funny looking traffic cone.
That's a traffic cone head. I am from France. Sorry, coneheads. No, my bad. Uh, but anyways, but yeah. So next on our list is I almost said conehead. is Pyramid Head, and I I like a good Pyramid Head. He's got a lot going for him, especially when he's got his stuff behind him and you run into it. Granted, it's easy to evade, but not in chase. You know, and I think a lot of the Pyramid Head killers forget that their stuff disappears after they put so much down and time and stuff like that. And uh, but I really like a lot about him. I like that you could do a Mori on somebody without having to have a Mori, even though it's kind of like lackluster. It's not as big as a full on Mori, but it's kind of neat. And that's like we did with Sadako. You know, she has that Mori she could do outside of that if you hold on to that tape or get too many of those things and don't put a tape in. That's up for you to decide if you're able to get by it. But in the same sense, when you have been hooked twice and you get that barbed wire wrapped around you, you should expect him to follow you or find you, you know?
Just expect the terror radius in a couple seconds.
Yep. Because I mean it's inevitable because a lot of them save that. If you run through the barbed wire, a lot of them save that for the
I
end.
usually I usually don't focus on that. At least when the last I haven't played him in a bit, but when I play him, I usually never focus on the barbed wire states. I just do business as usual.
Yeah.
And if they are if they are on death's door and they are barbed wired, then I'm just like, oh, okay, saves me the time.
But
But
he go
yeah,
ahead, go ahead.
he's an interesting killer in the sense that I mean he brought a new way to play with the whole as long as they're barbed wired, you don't have to take them to a hook. You know,
Yeah, yeah.
tired of those pesky flashlight saves? Just plop down your knife on the ground and drag your bloody diarrhea all over the place, and they step on it, and you know they get they get barbed wired, and they can't get rid of it until they get sent to a cage or
Or
hooked.
unhook.
Does it get rid of it? Yeah, okay.
Yeah, when you unhook somebody from the cage, it clears it off of you. I don't think it used to do that, but they changed it after. I could be wrong. If I am, please, the Pyramid Head mains out there, please correct me.
I was thinking like if like a normal hook, does it get rid of the barbed wire state?
No, no, it does not.
Oh, interesting. Okay, I'll keep that in mind for next time. Unless you're lying.
No, I'm not lying. I promise.
All right, I'm gonna hold you to
Um,
it.
yeah. So that being said, he is an interesting killer. He has had some changes over the years. Not too many.
He's been left mostly untouched. Like aside from a couple, like some slight changes to his add-ons, and
Yeah.
I think to some of his perks.
Mm-hmm.
He's just been kind of like a stone on the
Right.
ground. He's just there.
Yeah. And a lot of people who play him are usually pretty knowledgeable with Pyramid Head. So There's some that's just fanboys or fangirls that want to play Pyramid Head and they just don't know what they're getting themselves into because he's not an easy killer to use. Not to me, at least.
Uh,
So,
yeah, I mean, there's not much else to say about him. Lore-wise, he just kind of made a pact with the entity, and that was it. It's kind of
mhm.
set in stone. Um, he has some cosmetics. They're pretty good.
His
Uh,
blighted one is good.
yeah, his blighted one is interesting. Again, don't know how the hell the blight did it, but he did. So
He did.
big big props on experimenting on all these guys, big dog. You know,
Yeah.
more power to you. Uh, but yeah, no. Aside from that, and aside from like some of his gameplay loop and all that, he I hate to say it, but he doesn't add much else besides that.
No,
He was a great anniversary character.
I agree.
I will say that he was a huge anniversary character. You know, adding both like just the concept of Silent Hill alone, um, being in there. I think this was the first video game crossover, right?
Yes.
Yeah, this was Dead by Daylight's first
Yes.
game crossover, and yeah, that was a pretty big deal back then. But you know,
Let me.
after time, I guess
Mhm.
it's a matter of did he age well?
Mhm.
And I would say yes and no.
I think he
He's
stayed pretty consistent.
he stayed consistent. That's a good thing,
Yeah.
but that could only take you so far.
So let me just say this one last thing about him before we cast our judgment down. The one thing I will say about Pyramid Head is that chapter brought like if you use the Konami code in Dead by Daylight while you were had either Cheryl Mason or Pyramid Head on the main screen, it would play this like music from one of the Konami games. And if you guys don't know what the Konami code is, then you're not OGs. I hate to say it. The Konami code is literally any game back in like the Nintendo era, like early NES games, would have a code. Would be up, up, down, down, left, right, BA, select, start, or somewhere around that. Up, up, yeah. And when you put that in, it'd be like almost like a God mode, infinite lives or whatever. And when you did it on DVD, you get like this little charm. It's like one of the spaceships from one of the games. I can't remember the name of the game, but it's pretty neat.
He's
I like
actually
it.
lying. You get 100 million blood points.
Yeah, so go on and do that right now. And when you find out that I am not lying. So that being said, I thought that was a really cool extra that they added to it. And you could still do that code to today. Granted, you'd have if you're using a keyboard, you'd have to do WWSSAAD, stuff like that. But it's still there. So, all right. That being said, where do we rank him, Arson?
He's not. When he first came out, like if we were doing this way earlier, he would definitely be an A tier.
Mm-hmm.
But I can't give it to him now, especially with what we've had lately. Um, I just hate to say that he's aged not poorly, but he's just kind of there.
So, what are you thinking? Mid B or low B?
I'm thinking he's right behind Pinhead. Not as great as Pinhead, but right behind him.
Well, that pushes Crow Lady back a little bit more.
Yeah, unfortunately.
And I agree with you on the B tier. I just wasn't sure where you were thinking, and I think that's a good spot. For their
It
first,
hurts me to do it because I
yeah,
played him a lot. I played him a lot.
yeah,
Like it was so fun actually hitting survivors through the walls, just like tracking the movement and just getting that freaking hit through the wall
mm-hmm.
with his I forgot what the freaking move was called, but you know, launching your little ranged attack,
Yeah.
and it was great. But you know, I don't know, he's just there now,
I
and
mean,
that's fine.
he's pretty easily looped. And when he starts to throw down his stuff, you can go somewhere else, and stuff like that. Like, but enough about him. I agree with you on what you said. And early on, he probably would have been an A tier killer on my list as well. But now that brings us to our next. And this is a killer that brought about my favorite map to play as a survivor. And one of Arson's worst maps as a survivor. Like, he does not
My
like this map.
track record on that map is really mixed. Even though I hate it, it's been a mixed bag.
Yeah. Well, if you ever want to go visit this person, just go to the Dead Dog Saloon, Glenvale.
I
And
wouldn't. He'd probably shoot you.
well, he just wants to bring you closer to him. But we're talking about the Death Slinger. And there's a lot about the Death Slinger I can say. He man, I've seen people snipe me from almost across the map. I think Arson was there for a couple of them where he hit me, and it just amazes me, like, some of the range that these guys have. But if you get one that's not very good with that gun, you're gonna know fast because they don't use it. Which I don't know why they wouldn't. Why either they're trying to gauge a new killer to them, or they're just, I don't know.
Shooting's kind of the whole point of his kit.
Right.
He moves slower than most killers.
So I don't like his hitbox with his gun is outrageous. The way he can hit you around corners and stuff like that. I've seen it happen. Whether they fixed it, and I don't think they have, but there's times where he can hit you where you should not be getting hit. But overall, he's a pretty solid killer in my eyes.
Mm.
And he's got a lot of really good cosmetics.
Yeah, he has some bitchin' cosmetics. But I mean, aside from that, yeah, playing as him is an interesting experience because it really puts your quick scoping skills to the test. At least when he was, I don't know if they reworked them again, so his aiming is faster.
I don't
But
know.
when he first launched, the aiming was instantaneous. Like you could just immediately aim and then like pinpoint accuracy if you know what you're doing. Bam, shoot someone and then you got it. As long as you know what you're doing, you're going to get a lot of you were going to get a lot of reels. Probably not kills, but reels in with this guy. But unfortunately, they added an update later on where his aiming was more slowed, so you have to like kind of slowly zoom in and to your sights and then fire. That really sucked. I hated that, and because of that, I stopped playing him. I know they announced that they were going to change that. I don't know if it went through. I haven't checked.
Not that
Probably
I know
should.
of.
But yeah, no, that the whole aiming down slow really killed a lot of my excitement for playing this guy. But man, it was fun playing this guy, especially against those survivors who just wouldn't leave.
Oh,
Teabagging at the exit gate, and there's nothing more satisfying than clipping a survivor who's teabagging at the exit gate and dragging them back into certain doom.
I will tell you this. One of the craziest things that ever happened to me was against a Deathslinger. Like this one, I was opening the door. I wasn't trying to teabag. I was going to get out. I had the door almost open. It was like within a second, maybe second and a half. And I was injured. And out of nowhere comes this, got me, and I died because of it. I actually got it clipped.
Straight
And
from the top rope.
oh my gosh, dude, it was absolutely, I was livid, but I was like, wow, where did that come from? And man, it was horrifying, but
He got the extended chain.
yeah, he got me. He definitely got me, and like, because I was thinking, there's no way he's gonna get me, because I did my 4-second thing that I always do, right? And the doors just weren't too that far apart, or he just decided he was gonna shoot from downtown. Here comes the Hail Mary shot, and he landed it. Oh wow, it was something special, and he got me. So that will always be a nice one in my heart for him. However, I agree with you. He is not as good as he once was.
Unless they
Because
did rework him and we're just kind of talking out our ass,
I don't think
and
they
he's
did.
actually good again. Oh, that's just you're losing points in my book behavior. Better get to it. I don't know why it's taking you so long to implement these changes for killers.
So, in my eyes, the way he is, even though he does, you can get some fun chases out of him. I am going to put him behind the xenomorph
In C?
in C. Yes.
That is bollocks.
Really? Where would you
Yeah,
put him?
I would put him. I would put him behind. I would put him behind Carmia.
Behind who?
Crow Lady.
Oh, okay.
Hold on. And my reasoning is, alright, he he isn't as terrible as people make him out to be. A lot of people hate him, and that's completely understandable. He can be very scummy. Um, I know people. I've seen it. I've lived it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, getting reeled and then getting absolutely clobbered over the head or shivved,
Getting reeled and then
bayoneted,
getting railed.
and then him just going hey hey, and then like either the bastard shakes his head or he nods up and down, like that stuff. I've seen some extremely scummy and cocky death slingers, but the ones that are actually fun, man, those are some of the most memorable chases for me, man.
I agree. I've made me and a friend of mine literally made our one of our death slingers give up, and it just didn't do anything after the rest of the match, and it was great. It was we were the only two that lived, and we just made him give up because he couldn't get us.
Yeah, the satisfaction goes both ways. There's nothing
Mhm.
greater than dodging the spear, and there's nothing greater than hitting the spear. It's like, he deserves credit. I don't think he belongs in C. I think he belongs in in low A or low B, like behind bottom B.
All right, I will give this to you, but you may owe me points later.
Hmm.
All right, do you agree to my terms?
I have a feeling you're gonna cash that in pretty soon. I don't know, but all
So,
right,
all
I
right,
can accept it.
all
The,
right.
the precious Texan boy is in the middle ground.
All right, so we're approaching our time, but we're going to go over a little bit to get two more killers in. So we're going to try to do this in the next 10 minutes or 8 minutes. So
Sounds impossible.
it does. We could try at least one more. How about that?
All right.
All
Seems
right.
good.
So the next one we got is Oni. Oni um, has such an interesting backstory. He's the only one that actually has a granddaughter with him.
Yeah, the only two killers that are actually related in blood. How
Right.
interesting.
And I like that a lot. Go ahead and tell us a little bit about the Oni and your thoughts on him.
All right. Well, Dione he's a complicated character. Um, he's not morally great. He's not a morally great person. He's out there slaying people. To he thinks are false samurai and all that. Like I don't even know how many buckets of blood he's left in his wake. But yeah, he's not a nice guy. And when he finally got his comeuppance, even then, death didn't really stop him. And then he's come back, way later on in the fog, and he's just kind of murdering people because they're weaker than him and all that. But lore aside, he is one last tidbit. Yeah, of course. In case you didn't understand, I don't know why you wouldn't, but the Oni and the spirit are related.
Yep.
Um, great, 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 great grandpappy. I think. I think I put a little too many greats in there, but yeah, no.
I think you did
Um,
too, but yeah.
yeah, there's the lore, but um, gameplay wise, he is, how do I say it? Relentlessly bloody.
Oh yeah.
He hits you, and that's basically a good chunk of his power filled. If he hits someone else, that's already going to be a rage right there.
Mm-hmm.
Um, The Rage is interesting in the sense that it almost acts like, well, it kind of basically is Hillbilly's Chainsaw Rush, except it's more, whatchamacallit,
Controlled.
it's more, slightly more controlled, but also you have to actually hit someone manually instead of just
Mm-hmm.
running into someone with Billy. Uh, yeah, you know that's his gameplay loop. You run around, hit survivors. The game plan is to injure as many as you can, get all their blood orbs, and then rage, because of course those pesky survivors are going to heal, and just knock them all down with your great club.
Yeah. Or after you lose that rage, get enough to store it back up to where you can like have the advantage. I've seen that so many times.
Yeah, I've seen some pretty wacky plays with his Demon Rush. Stuff I didn't even think you could pull off, but you can, with the right skill set,
Mm-hmm.
the right map, and I guess the right circumstances. He is an insanely good killer. I don't think a lot of people recognize the potential that the guy has.
I think the makers do. Mainly
Yeah,
because look, he got his own which was absolutely terrifying. My Little Oni was absolutely ridiculously crazy.
he got his very own game mode dedicated
He
to him.
really did, and it was it was so much fun once I learned to do it.
I unfortunately never got to play it, but I've seen some clips.
It was so frustrating, dude. And then we finally figured out things. But My Little Oni was as good as it was. I don't care if it comes back because it kept us on corn most of the time, and it drove me nuts. But because of My Little Oni, my thoughts on that map have changed. But anyways, so yeah, my thoughts on Oni are like this. He is a very good killer. As like we've been saying, if properly used by the right person. Um, you have that advantage of his rage, and it is very powerful. You can loop it. I've looped it many times, especially if you get an Oni that jumps the gun on trying to hit you. Um, but to me, I think My Little Oni actually boosted him some, because people got to play him. And but to me, he I don't know how to put it. I don't think he belongs at the top of the list.
Interesting.
Like, I don't think he's an S tier killer. We'll say that.
What about his cosmetics? His Mori? You know,
His Mori is absolutely brutal.
the
Like,
good old tongue rip.
oh my gosh, dude. It's very brutal, and
He
his
could have he could have
cosmetics,
just left it at that, just rip out the tongue and then pulls out his katana and then just kind of leave him
yeah.
to bleed. But no, he gives it a good extra swings of his club to, really seal the deal.
Yep.
Just,
It's pretty brutal.
it's brutally nice.
Very nice. And the thing is about him though, is his cosmetics are top tier. I will say that. He's got some of the best cosmetics that you could have. Um One in particular that everybody loves to want to see is that what's the name of that anime that they brought in?
The Attack on Titan one.
Attack on Titan one. And everybody loves seeing that Oni come in. And if you guys don't know, I'm not big on anime, so it's hard for me to remember that stuff. But it is a pretty good one. He's got a lot of really good ones. He's also got a blighted outfit too, right?
I don't think so. At least
Huh.
last I remember.
Maybe he doesn't. Maybe I'm thinking someone else. Um, but yeah, he's good. Don't get me wrong, but I don't know. Let's go to Arson and see what he thinks, and I'll reveal my position afterwards.
Okay. Again, Um, his gameplay is especially interesting to delve into because you gotta focus on the blood, gotta worry about injuring the survivors at mostly all times, and you gotta know when to pop your rage, so you can really reap the rewards of stabbing everybody. Because if you're just running around stabbing and then just kind of leaving it at that, you're not really gonna get much success with this guy. You have to keep them injured, and then once it seems like the pressure is going to be stacked against you, or you see a golden opportunity to let it rip, you just pop that rage and just go crazy with it.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I think that gameplay loop can be extremely satisfying to the person who's playing him, but to me that's too much setup. I can't really play him that well. I tried, but I just can't really crack it. Maybe it's the perks, maybe it's the add-ons. I don't know, but I cannot fit my playstyle around this guy. But I can definitely see the benefits from playing him and actually learning. Um, Again, he can be an extremely strong killer. I think people kind of
Agreed.
sleep on that because with you have killers like Blight and Nurse who kind of already have the whole traversal and mobility stuff and beat. The only thing that Oni has above those two is that he can insta down with his demon rush. But I guess like in terms of just like pressure and all that, uh, the Nurse and Blight do that a lot better than Oni can, and that kind of shoves him down in the power scaling when it comes to a lot of the killers, which is unfortunate. He is he
Mm-hmm.
is an he's an excellent killer.
But
I
again,
think
I don't think he's top tier.
his design is awesome. His whole ogre of rage or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And then again, his lore is interesting. There's a lot, the killers so far we've just read about their lore in when you read their bio and everything. I know there's obviously a lot more. There's probably more layers to this guy in the tomes, but all right, bear with us. We will get to that in another episode. This is our tier list, and right now we're just kind of skimming through everything. We're taking all accounts into factor, or all factors into account,
Right, there you go.
and that the lore episode is coming. All right. Apologies for not knowing absolutely everything about every killer. We were just kind of brushing up on the whatchamacallit, the basic stuff.
Correct.
And as it stands right now, yeah, he is a good killer. Unfortunately, though, as Phoenix says, I guess he's just not at the top, and that brings great shame to my heart.
Agreed. He had a lot of potential, and
Yeah, I'll just give it to you. Wherever you decide to put him, I will agree with no resistance.
really,
Yep.
well, I don't think he's D. Okay.
Okay,
Uh,
yeah, I would probably fight you a little bit on that one. There's no way he's a D tier.
no, he's not a D tier, but I do believe he's right above that. I believe he's high C, and and by high C I mean not the drink, but above Nemesis. I think
I
I
will
think
accept this.
okay. I was gonna say I think he's he's there, um, like right on the cusp of B, and had it been a little different, I would have put him a lot higher, but he's as it stands right now, he is not a top tier dude. Um, so yeah. And guys, that brings us to the end of this episode. Um, if you have, as always, for these episodes, by now the tier list should be popping up on the YouTube uh, podcast, so you guys can see where we have marked so far. And the next episode, we're going to be talking more about the next stage. And if you guys are enjoying this, please leave a comment. Let us know what you think. If you agree with us, disagree with us, whatever, feel free to let us know. Also, in the description, there will be a link to our link tree, and that's all things from the ashes. But I would like to thank Arson for being here with me with this. And until next time, guys, have a fabulous day in the fog.